It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, answer. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome on in. It's another edition of the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker, streaming on 1069thefan.com and the 1069 The Fan mobile app. That's where you can also find podcasts of our past shows. It's like last hour. It's already published. But we'd encourage you to listen in real time to our show now. And then when you're done, then you can go back and listen to the last hour if you missed it.
Especially because you can get on the Full Court Press text line. 435-339-0321. We've already had a fairly active Full Court Press text line today. Feel free to keep sending in suggestions, thoughts, comments, questions, gossip, social security numbers, bank information.
Yeah, don't share that.
I do not endorse the sharing of any sensitive information via the Full Court Press text line.
Yeah. But yes, if you want to weigh in, always love to hear from you. Last hour, we recapped the weekend that was for the Mountain West. Scores, updates, and standings, rankings in both the AP poll and the net rankings that have been updated. Utah State 22 in both AP and coaches polls, 36 in the net rankings. But the most important is that Utah State stays on top of the Mountain West standings, at least still tied with Boise State for number one in the regular season. And that's going to be important when you look at the standings for the conference tournament next week. And that's going to be really interesting to look at. What does the first round look like, the second round look like, the third round look like for potential opponents for Utah State and others? So it's going to be a wild conference tournament because you look at the standings, Colorado State's a good team, and they're in 7th place.
Yeah, that's the thing is that, like, if you're Utah State, being in the first seed bodes well because if you're in, if the tournament started today, the Aggies would face the winner of Wyoming and Fresno State in their opening game. Would be the second round. That's as good as it's going to get for any team at the top because you look at San Diego State, they'd be in the 4-5 matchup with UNLV. Then Boise State, like they play the winner of Colorado State and Air Force. That's the 2 seed. Nevada, the 3 seed, they play the winner of New Mexico and San Jose State. Like that's like nobody's getting a easy second round matchup. The easiest you can get is playing either Wyoming or Fresno State. And everyone else, barring an upset, you're facing Colorado State, New Mexico, UNLV, something like that. So, like, just dropping one spot for the Aggies makes a conference tournament run so much harder from the get-go.
Right, so if things stay as they are now, Utah State, as you said, in the second round, plays the winner of Wyoming and Fresno State. Let's assume the Aggies get past that game. Then they would play the winner of San Diego State and UNLV. So that's not easy. But if they do get through that, then they're into the conference championship game on Saturday early afternoon.
Yeah, getting to the conference championship game, that's the gold standard. And we need another Utah State, San Diego State. Of course, I think as things stand right now, it would be impossible for that to happen. I think. So, gotta have Utah State, San Diego State like 5th edition. What is that? What it would be?
There's been a lot of matchups between those two schools.
Yeah.
Some great games between those two in the Mountain West Conference tournament. Interesting article I saw today that with the Pac-12 dissolving, Las Vegas has been a hub for conference tournaments, And, the West Coast Conference is going to be there this week. Mountain West, Pac-12, I think the WAC is also down there. But once the Pac-12 leaves, Mountain West will be the biggest game in town when it comes to conference tournaments. And then the question remains, do they stay at UNLV or do they go over to the T-Mobile Arena that's now vacated from the Pac-12 leaving, so you're on more of a neutral site court and not in UNLV's arena?
Maybe. They probably keep it at UNLV just because it's easier. And it is a very good complex. I mean, the NBA literally holds a summer league there. So it's a very good tournament complex. There's a reason that all these are held there. But, of course, T-Mobile, that's a pretty good place to play basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, and UNLV hasn't really threatened itself as a team that might benefit from some home court advantage.
I remember that used to be the thing. Like, BYU fans, like when I was growing up, they used to complain and whine because they kept losing to UNLV in the Mountain West tournament. They're like, why is UNLV going to host the tournament?
Yeah, and then for a few years they moved it to Denver, and it was a debacle.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and UNLV, like, even though they're at home, like, their attendance has been bad. I know their team hasn't been fantastic, but it's a home team. You've had teams that go decently far. Like, you'd think UNLV could sell out the stadium when they're in the tournament, and they can't.
A couple of texts coming through on the Full Court Press text line. If you want to weigh in, we always love to hear from you. 435-339-0321. 9315, is this why Jason never posts the show until it's long over, or is Eric blocking him from doing so?
Okay, long over is an exaggeration. I usually get it like within 15 minutes of the show ending. The reason is because I'm not as fast as Eric. Because Eric, like, in the middle of the break between the first and second hour, posts the first, hour. I'm usually never fast enough to do that. Like, if I remembered, I could, like, publish it during, like, the first break of the second hour, but I never think to do that. Because otherwise, it'd be easy.
I'm not blocking Jason. Come on now.
Yeah, you are. Eric is abusing me.
I'm keeping the man down. 6543. Good win by the Ags. 2 key games this week. Mountain West Tournament is wide open this year. In reading a bracketology article over the weekend, the author stated that USU and San Diego State are the only sure locks for the NCAA. Everyone else is a bubble team? Thoughts about that?
If they're saying everyone else is on the bubble, that wouldn't be correct. To say that Utah State and San Diego State are the only for sure locks is, I think, accurate. Because, like, theoretically, if everyone else, well, I don't even know if that is possible. Because, like, if everyone else that's, like, in the tournament lost every game from now on, which isn't actually possible because a lot of them play each other, and a lot of them would play each other in the tournament. But, like, if any one of them lost the rest of their games, I guess maybe they could miss the tournament. Especially, I think Nevada and New Mexico are the most susceptible to that.
Yeah.
Colorado
State,
maybe not. They could maybe lose out and still make it. Boise State, their recent run has probably pushed them about as close of a lock as they could have been, given what's happened previously. I think it's accurate to say Utah State and San Diego State are definite locks. They're both making the tournament pretty much no matter what happens. Everyone else, I guess it's within the realm of believability that if they lost every game from now on, maybe they could miss the tournament. But even then, for some of them, it'd be a stretch. So they're maybe not for sure locks, but Colorado State, they're getting in. Boise State, they're probably definitely getting in. Nevada and New Mexico are probably the only 2 teams where I think if things go badly for them, they could miss it.
But the odds are greatest that 6 teams get in.
I'd say 5. Odds are greatest that 5 get in. They're decent that 6 get in. Just because New Mexico's got a rough challenge ahead of them with where they're at, with where they're starting to tumble out of a few brackets. They're still mostly considered in by pretty much everybody. But if things keep going bad, if they keep tumbling, they're probably out. And they have to play Utah State this week. They have to play. They play another top team in the top 6 or 7 this week? I can't remember.
New Mexico finishes the regular season. They host Fresno.
Okay.
On Wednesday, and then they travel to Logan on Saturday.
So if they lost to Utah State and then lost their first game in the Mountain West tournament, I could see them missing the tournament.
They'd be a bubble team.
Yeah,
Absolutely
they'd
be
be
a
on the
bubble
bubble, and with those 2 extra losses, even with the win at Fresno, like that could push them out. If Nevada loses out, that could maybe push them out. Most everyone else is a virtual lock. It would take a monumental collapse for any of the teams currently considered in the tournament for the Mountain West. It would take a monumental collapse for any one of them to miss it. And Utah State and San Diego State, I don't think they can miss it.
Yeah. 435-339-0321, 2122. When does usually athletics start raising money to keep Coach Sprinkle around?
And if they don't have the money already, they're not going to get it by the time they need it.
They should be now. I mean, they should have yesterday.
They're always fundraising.
I mean, they should be fundraising for that. Yeah.
They do fundraising things. They were doing fundraising stuff around the naming the court after Stu Morrill.
Yes.
So, granted, if they handed Danny Sprinkle a 10-year contract, they would just need to find $1.5–2 million for next year. So they'd be doing some really hard. They'd be asking like, "Hey, can you give a little extra?"
Yes.
Particularly rich donors.
Yeah. But look, I think you're right. I mean, the greatest odds are that there are 5 teams that go to the NCAA tournament. I think it's still likely that there are 6.
Oh, yeah, it's still definitely likely. But I just think the greatest odds are 5 just because there are teams that are pretty, New Mexico's on the bubble. They are officially on the bubble. Nevada, if they collapse, end up on there as well.
Last few years, there have been 4 teams out of the Mountain West Conference go to the NCAA tournament. And certainly San Diego State had a great run last year, making it all the way to the championship game, which meant a lot of money for the Mountain West Conference. And so those are NCAA units. And this can be a little bit hard to follow from time to time, how these units are paid out. Remember, it was a big topic to try to figure out what does the money look like coming into what remains of the Pac-12 from these NCAA units, from all these Pac-12 schools that will be exiting. That was part of what they were squabbling about. But certainly San Diego State, in their recent run, and what they did last year, it was been calculated by Mark Ziegler, San Diego Union Tribune. Over the weekend, calculated it and estimated about $10 million to the Mountain West that would be paid out over the next 6 years for what San Diego State themselves did in the NCAA tournament last year. And the problem is that they're posing is that while their run brings in about $10 million to the conference, San Diego State themselves will see less than $1 million of that money, because currently the Mountain West Conference has an equal distribution of NCAA units.
Yeah, which is not uncommon in the slightest. Like, there's really only one other conference that really has an unequal, revenue system. That being the West Coast Conference. Everyone else, it's equal. But I think what kind of ends up being different for West Coast Conference and for the Mountain West is that when you're looking at for bigger conferences, bigger teams, like they're already getting tens of millions of dollars, so they're not really all that wrapped up in revenue distribution. They're already making money hand over fist. It's not that big of a problem. But for a team like San Diego State, for Alabama, $9 million is like one donation from like one oil baron or whatever,
or one home game. Yeah,
basically. For San Diego State, an extra $9 million, holy cow, that's like a third of their budget. Not quite. It's probably like a fifth of their budget. But, that's a lot.
A healthy chunk.
That is a significant, double-digit percentage of their annual budget. So that is a huge thing, if they could keep most of that. And it would be a big deal for teams like Utah State. And, for Boise State, their football program, it is a big deal. They get an extra cut of the pie for football. It is very much helping their football program. And so when you talk about this, distribution where potentially you slice the pie a little differently, it can make a difference. And that's something that's going to get proposed apparently over the summer.
Yeah, apparently Mountain West Conference Commissioner Gloria Navarez plans to introduce this topic this summer, or even really in the spring meetings that'll be coming up here shortly. And, she adopted something similar at the West Coast Conference, where that was partially done to keep Gonzaga in the West Coast Conference when they were flirting with the Mountain West. And that's really too bad for the Mountain West that deal never went through.
Yeah.
But what they did to sweeten the deal to keep the Zags from leaving is that the first units that are accumulated from teams making it to the NCAA tournament, that's spread evenly across all member institutions. What you do after that, you get to keep. So for the Mountain West, and like for San Diego State specifically, that would have meant a big chunk of change directed just to the Aztecs.
Yeah, so that's something that I think a lot of teams will like. Like if you're a team like it's Utah State, you're making the tournament, and I mean you haven't made any runs, but hey, what if you make a run? If
Nevada a few years ago,
yeah, Nevada, New Mexico, Boise, all these teams that have eyes on making a run in the tournament, they all believe they can make a run. Nobody's really done it except San Diego State and, as you mentioned, Nevada 5 or 6 years back. They all think they can do it. I don't think they would necessarily be opposed. If they're good enough to be making these runs, then they believe they can get that extra money, and it would benefit them, and they can reinvest into their program. Like Utah State, if they had a Sweet 16 run and got to keep all the profits there, yeah, that'd pay for their next head coach.
Yes, that'd be a huge financial windfall. The last 3 years, the Mountain West has accumulated 14 units. Half of those units are because of one team, San Diego State.
Yeah, which that's why they have an argument to take home that extra money. And like I said, you could say that for like every conference, because the point of a conference is to pool your resources, and there are benefits to having a conference that include sharing that revenue. It's kind of worth it. But for San Diego State, they're thinking, hey, look, we're making you guys money. Maybe let us keep some of that.
Right, and the Mountain West already has an unequal revenue distribution. Boise State earns about almost $2 million more than everybody else because of their sweetheart deal with TV revenue attached to their football program.
Yeah, and so they're looking maybe doing something similar with basketball. And if that's how it's going to be for football, maybe do it for basketball as well. And like I said, I think this is not really going to be a thing that carries on into bigger conferences. Because, again, it's not that big. They're all getting $30, $40, $50 million out of their conference deals. So nobody's really complaining about the amount of money they get. But when you're talking about, tripling or quadrupling the money you can get from your postseason runs, that means a lot more to cash-strapped teams in the Mountain West.
The athletic director for San Diego State is quoted in the article. His name is John David Wicker, and he says, we either share all the revenue equally, and there's no $1.8 million extra for Boise State from TV, or if it's the claim that because Boise is who Boise is, they generate extra revenue for TV, so they should get some of it, then we should pay those who generate the revenue in other sports. I'm good either way. It's either all equal or give it to the earners. Someone like Boise has to sit there and calculate, all right, do I benefit from this or not? Is this what's best for the league?
Yeah, and I kind of agree with that. Like, if we're going to do it in football, do it in basketball. And, of course, it's easier to say that if you're Utah State. Obviously, San Jose State and some of these other teams at the bottom might be sweating bullets over this. But, of course, I don't think Boise State would have that much of a problem going both ways, because they're doing pretty well in basketball themselves. But, yeah, if you're going to have it be unequal in football, then do it in basketball or even it out in both. Like, be consistent.
Right. And it's, it's a kind of a tenet of capitalism. That's what's repeated in the article. These quotes from some of these people.
Like 2 or 3 different people were talking about capitalism. It was like, yeah, we don't need to talk about capitalism in college sports. Capitalism has ruined college sports.
But basically, if you're going to you're going to work hard and be successful, then you should reap some of the reward for that. Taking the risk to invest and do what you can to be successful, you should have some additional benefit for that success.
Yeah.
Rather than just having a great run of success and then splitting the pie 11 ways and you still only get a little bit in return for that. Everybody else benefits from what you did, but how much do you benefit from what you did?
Yeah. It's a simple line of logic. Benefits the teams at the top. It ends up being a self-perpetuating cycle where
then the best remain. The teams on top have the path to stay on top.
Yeah. But the thing is, all it takes is one good run. Like San Diego State can, if they've been able to retain basically all the money from their run, that would have paid for their basketball program for like 3 straight years on one run. So like theoretically, you could get a team at the bottom has that one magical year, they can propel themselves to the top. So it's not a system that completely screws out the teams at the bottom, but it does require, a miracle season.
Yeah, and there's some argument that rising tides lift all ships. If you you can continue to invest in the conference as a whole, and if they can continue to improve and get better, that only helps the strength of your program as well. A couple of texts coming through on the topic, 8945. Could you see the Aggies getting a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament if they win out?
Yeah, if they win out, 5 seed is probably the lowest they'll get. There will be some talk of them maybe getting a 4 seed. I don't think they would, but they would get a 5 seed. I'd be surprised if they didn't, if they won out.
If they won out.
Because that's a Mountain West
that would mean
championship regular season.
Yes.
Sole or outright. And a Mountain West tournament championship. You end up as a 29 in, I think you'd be 29-5 or something like that. I think you'd have 28 or 29 wins. Your net would skyrocket because you'll have beaten New Mexico. You'll have beaten probably one of Wyoming, Fresno State, and San Diego State / UNLV, and Boise State. Somebody else in the top 7, potentially ranked in the AP poll. So that would be you'd add 2 or 3 quad 1 wins potentially. That's a heck of a 4-game stretch, and yeah, you'd have a pretty solid resume. I mean, the Aggies are considered like a 7 seed right now. Boost their resume up a bit more. 5 seed is very much a possibility.
Yeah, they're close to being into that 6 seed.
Yeah, on the Bragg
territory.
Matrix, they're like that top 7 seed, borderline 6 seed.
9315 texting in, Boise will hate it if we are all getting extra and nobody is in an unequal money share. Yeah, maybe. They enjoy their special privileges.
They do. And I mean, Boise, they're all up on their high horse saying, oh yeah, we're best team in football, carrying the conference. Not so much anymore. Of course, I saw one person talking about UNLV saying how they were going to be the best team in football, men's basketball, and women's basketball next year. And I was like, really? Like UNLV was like all in on this unequal revenue. I was like, you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And talking about how they're going to leave the Mountain West. I was like, where? Where are you going?
435-339-0321. If you want to continue to chime in, is this the right move for the Mountain West, or does it put at risk of just creating a top tier of teams that just stand above everybody else, just with the financial opportunities and influence in the conference? 435-339-0321. Or do you reward the teams for having success and let them keep what they've earned? We'll talk about that coming up next on the Full Court Press.
For more than a century, couples have shopped at S.C. Needham Jewelers for their diamond engagement ring. We have the largest selection of exclusive engagement rings in the area. Also, with the use of state-of-the-art technology, we're able to custom make with precision the ring of your dreams. You'll be able to work with our award-winning jewelry designer, Joseph Needham. You will also enjoy a vast selection of loose diamonds, allowing you to choose an affordable price range. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.C. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
Don't get caught without power to your home or business. This is Tyler with Golden Spike Electric. We offer Generac backup generators to keep your home or business warm, avoiding frozen pipes, loss of valuable food, or even a flooded basement. Golden Spike Electric is certified and factory trained, so you know it will be installed right and properly maintained. Contact Golden Spike Electric so you'll never be without power again. Online at gsegenerators.com. We also service other brands, Golden Spike Electric and Generac, power you can count on.
JM Mechanical knows spring is sure to make its appearance someday, and when it does, how soon we'll forget the snow, ice, and 0-degree temperatures. 90-plus degree days will take over. JM Mechanical knows how to deal with the extreme temperatures of northern Utah. They know how to replace every type of heating or air conditioning brand. Fast 24-hour service is available in Box Elder, Cache, and Franklin counties with a 100% satisfaction guarantee and upfront pricing. Call JM Mechanical at 563-6267. That's 563-6267.
Spring will get here, and when it does, those old rusted-out vehicles need to be moved. Call DD Auto and Salvage and let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
A player shooting from the three-point line shows confidence, just like the confidence you'll show when you decide to have a vasectomy. If you're thinking about getting a vasectomy, the healthcare teams at Franklin County Medical Center in Preston are ready. A vasectomy is a highly effective form of contraception, and that means less stress for family planning. The recovery time is short. Talk to the experts at Franklin County Medical Center in Preston about your vasectomy. Quick appointments are available. Start by visiting fcmc.org today.
Check this out.
This is The Herd.
You're excited. I'm excited.
With Colin Cowherd.
So why did San Francisco lose? I'll throw out to you why they lost. Special teams and bad luck. Kansas City fumbled 5 times, recovered 4. Then you throw in Dre Greenlaw got hurt running on the field.
This is The Herd. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan. Join the show by calling 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Now, speaking of tournaments, there's some conference tournaments who begin this week, and just notice this. What was it? College basketball Reddit. I gotta go back and find it because I gotta read it verbatim. Reddit college football, actually, is who wrote it. The D1 basketball conference tournaments start today. And most conferences invite all teams to participate. So a team that's 0-30 right now could theoretically win the national championship.
College basketball is a beautiful thing.
No 0-30 college football team has ever made the college football playoff.
I don't think it's possible.
0-30 might be a little tough, but...
if you manage to go 0-30 in a college football season, you should receive some kind of trophy.
That's right. I get the idea, though. There's always a chance.
There's always a chance. There's only been a handful of winless teams in college basketball in general. It's been a while since there's even been one. I think it was like the mid to late 2000s there was one. I think it's been a minute. We haven't had an undefeated one in a while either, of course.
Yeah, that's true.
Nearly had one a few years back.
It's really hard. 7994 weighing in. The NCAA tournament seems to be about which team gets hot or peaks at the right time. Is there anything in Coach Sprinkle's record to indicate when this team might hit their peak or if they have already?
It's entirely possible. Like, look at the Aggies the last few games. Maybe they've already hit their peak. They're not playing their best ball right now. I mean, Boise State is. But I don't know. You say getting hot at the right time. Like, when's the right time? Is it the last 2 games of the regular season? Is it the second game of the tournament? Like, all you have to do is keep winning one game over and over and over.
We've seen Utah State basketball teams in the past, at the end of the regular season, they were not playing their best basketball.
Yeah.
But they played their best basketball in the conference tournament.
So, like, that's always the theory, is that you get hot and you play your best basketball in the tournament, and that definitely helps. And there's a reason that line of thinking exists, because we've seen teams do that. I mean, UNLV might do that. Boise State might do that. Maybe Utah State, kind of falls off a little bit. We saw Nevada a few years back. They were like a top 5 team. They kind of collapsed. at the end of the year. And that was, Craig Smith's first season. I haven't looked back at any of Danny Sprinkle's teams. I mean, you look at Montana State, they seem to peak at the right time. They made the tournament.
He's gotten his teams to the tournament.
So whether or not they got hot at the end of the season, I don't know, but it seemed like they were one of, if not the best teams in their conference. They go on to win the conference tournament. They get the NCAA tournament bid. So Danny Sprinkle's teams have won important games when it matters, except for in the tournament. He's 0 for 2 there.
Yeah, it's true. But one thing I do like is that we've seen over the last little bit here that the roster versatility is improving. There were games where Javon Jackson wouldn't see the court. But then there's been a few games here recently where he's playing some solid minutes off the bench, very impactful minutes off the bench.
Yeah. Well, I don't
be
think
able to move things around with how Utah State approaches their opponents.
I don't think that's going to continue, though. I think it's mainly happened because they have the roster versatility, so that's been good. That's, I think, what's helped them against Fresno State and Air Force. So they have that. But I wouldn't expect Javon Jackson to keep playing.
No, but if the matchup dictates that they need to do that, they've shown and proven that they can.
Yeah, they can. Even though they lost arguably their most versatile player in Max Agwangpolo, they still have overall roster versatility. They can play small if they have to, so they've done that the last 2 games. They can play big. That's when Carson Templin gets a look at things. So, I don't know how much overlap there's been with Javon Jackson and Carson Templin both playing.
Yeah, very little.
Probably not a whole lot.
Yeah, because we haven't seen Carson hardly at all lately.
Yeah, because Carson, he was playing more when they needed big guys. He's played none when they need small guys. Like Isaac Johnson was struggling to see the floor these last 2 games, and he's started most of the games this season. So, yeah, the Aggies, they can match up with pretty much everybody unless you have a super tall team because the Aggies are a bit small on the guard line. At least, I guess at the 3 spot, they're kind of small. So, yeah, it's nice to see the Aggies can match up decently well with just about anybody, which could help come in the Mountain West tournament and the NCAA tournament. But the thing is that the Aggies still do play a pretty short rotation. Like, even though they have that versatility, they're still only playing 6-7 guys.
Yeah.
So that's maybe where you think, hey, you got to play 3 games in 3 days to win the Mountain West tournament if you're the Aggies. Can you play a 6-7-man rotation 3 days in a row? That's tough.
Can you get through your first game with a healthy margin so that you're not putting too much stress on your main guys?
Yeah. Get a little deeper into your rotation. Like if you're playing Wyoming, Fresno State, can you run like a 8-9-man rotation and still win that game comfortably? That'd be a big help. Because then you can, better afford a 6-man rotation for 2 straight games. And if the Aggies get the 1 seed, they get more rest.
Right. That's another big key.
So
massive key.
Yeah,
for
that'd be
Utah
a huge
State.
key for, if you're running a short rotation, which everyone's running short rotations. That's the advantage you can potentially get. But that's stuff we're going to find out this week. We'll know a lot more about, conference title scenarios after Tuesday. Is it games just on Tuesday or are they Tuesday, Wednesday?
This week, the regular season? Yeah, there's
week.
Games on Tuesday and there are games on
Okay.
Wednesday.
So after Wednesday, we'll have a very clear picture. I guess depending. If Boise State loses, then... Yeah, so I guess after Tuesday.
Yeah, because Tuesday, San Diego State's at UNLV, Nevada's at Boise State.
Yeah, and that's going to shake up a lot of things.
And that's big in the standings.
So, and then we'll see with Wednesday how things go.
Yeah, because New Mexico, the other one to keep an eye on, they're hosting Fresno State on Wednesday, besides Utah State on the road at San Jose.
Yeah, 2 theoretically less important games. Utah State's still important, obviously, because it has real implications on the conference title. New Mexico, Fresno State, not so much. That's New Mexico State's hopes of gaining momentum. Maybe they can get hot. Who knows?
Yeah. Friday, Boise State is at San Diego State, and then a big schedule of games on Saturday throughout the conference.
Yeah, Saturday's going to be pretty solid.
Yeah, but you're right. After Tuesday, we're going to have I think a much clearer picture of what that looks like. But certainly not done.
Yeah, it won't be done unless things go really weird Tuesday and Wednesday. There's a chance Utah State clinches a share of the Mountain West title by the end of the day Wednesday. But that requires some help.
Yeah, the last game, I mean, we're not going to really know how this all shakes out until late Saturday night because the UNLV at Nevada game is at 8:30 on Saturday night.
Yeah, and that'll probably still be – it may not be determining conference championships or anything, but it very well be determining seeding because Nevada, they're in a – I think Nevada, UNLV, and San Diego State are all in a tie for third place. And right now I think Nevada gets the 3 seed based off my understanding of tiebreakers, but obviously that can change very much since a lot of those teams are playing each other.
Right. Yeah, Nevada, San Diego State, UNLV, all at 11-5 in their conference record right now after this last weekend. So, yeah, still a lot to play for in this final week for Utah State. Continue to win, continue to play well. I mean, they absolutely still have things to play for to maintain their position on top of the Mountain West Conference, but also – as we talked earlier, I mean, are they playing their best basketball? What can they do this week to fine-tune and improve to be a more dangerous team? Not just for the conference tournament, but for the NCAA tournament too.
Well, cutting down on turnovers, that's something that's been kind of nipping at their heels. It dang near bit their head off at Fresno State, where they had a season-worst 17. But, I mean, we talk about Ian Martinez. He had one of his better games. I think he still had 5 or 6 turnovers.
Yeah.
So even he still had an imperfect game, still, unforced errors. They forced a lot of turnovers of Air Force to help keep control of that game, but then they kept kind of throwing the ball away. A travel here, an errant pass there. You're going to get your 8 or 9 turnovers pretty much guaranteed. If you get fewer than 8 or 9, it means you had a spectacular game, but getting 12, 13, 14, that's a few too many. And they've had a few too many games where they have 12, 13, 14, or 17 turnovers. Cut down on that. Ian and Mason have kind of been the biggest perpetrators of turnovers because I think Mason had 4 or 5 against Air Force and 5 or 6 against Fresno State. Ian and Mason were the biggest perpetrators of turnovers in that Fresno State game. And then Great Osibor has some of his issues with turnovers.
Mason only had 1 turnover
really?
on Friday.
But
Ian had 5.
Who else had a lot?
Osibor and Brown had 3 apiece.
Maybe I was just confusing Mason's game at Fresno where he had 4 or 5. But yeah, just cut. How many turnovers do they have overall against Air Force?
13.
13. Yes, that's too many in a game like that. If you have 13, that's not a killer, but you need to have fewer games like that. Danny Sprague targets 10 or fewer, and they're not doing that very much.
Yeah, 13 turnovers, but only 10 assists.
Yeah, so they need to be. Getting more assists. They need to be, but more particularly fewer turnovers. These guys can, in a pinch, they can create their own shot. You may not get an assist for that, but good players are going to create shots. They have guys that can do that. So that's the biggest thing to cut down on because everything else they're doing okay at, or at least they're not doing bad in a way that they can't bounce back from. Because that was the thing with Ian Martinez. He was playing bad, but it's okay, he's going through a shooting spell or a bad shooting spell. He's going to bounce back from that. It's not like a systematic thing that's bad. Turnovers, you're a little worried that's becoming a systemic thing. But again, as long as you bounce back from that, you should be fine. So yeah, to me, that's the biggest thing to tune up, and that'll fix a lot of other problems, offensively and defensively.
5338. Did Gary Statzer for Losers Anderson take a job at that school in Provo which shall not be named?
Yes, he did.
It appears that he did. As a defensive analyst. So, which, he's got a close relationship with Kalani Sitake, so not surprised. But that means he's no longer involved with the Blue A Collective. They issued a statement over the weekend just to avoid conflicts of interest.
Yeah.
That exist.
It's the way it is.
Yeah. Eric Lobb's still there. He's still in charge.
Yeah, they're still fundraising.
Yeah.
Heaven knows that all the coaches are going to keep whining about it. More NIL, like Blake Anderson and Danny Sprinkle for as long as he's here, as long as both are here. And as any basketball or football coach, they're going to be harping on NIL literally every chance they get, begging the fans, please donate more money. In addition to the ticket sales, jerseys, time you invest, paying to go to these luncheons and fundraising events. Also, keep giving money to the NIL because college sports is a crap show now. And it's all about just funneling money to 19-year-old basketball players and football players.
Yes. Did you see the report that it's estimated that Caleb Williams at USC estimated about $10 million in NIL deals?
Doesn't surprise me one bit.
Well, with the Trojans.
That's just the way it is these days.
Good for him.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with these guys making money. It's just the main problem with the money they're making is that the sport isn't regulated to protect teams, from guys chasing that money and screwing the teams over. Like with pro sports, guys can chase money, but at the right times, and teams have some control over that. In college sports, these guys should have been able to make this kind of money years ago. This is long overdue. But the reason it's made it a crap show is that it's literally all about the money, and there's nothing else.
Yeah.
In the NFL and NBA, it is about the money, but you at least got to stick around for a year.
Some level of performance, yeah.
And coaches can't just jump ship. Players can't just jump ship. In college, they can. That's the main problem that we have with college sports.
I got to take another time out here in the Full Court Press. When we come back, Utah Jazz, they're in action tonight, taking on the Washington Wizards, a team that's lost, I think, 10 in a row. Jazz have lost 3 in a row. Two teams heading in the same direction. Who's going to get the win? And who's available for the Jazz as well? Interesting to see who is and is not available for tonight's game. We'll discuss that. Also, who won in Pick 6? How did we do in trying to predict the things for that would take place this weekend? We'll discuss and reveal next on the Full Court Press.
Hello, I'm Ashley Nate, Operations Manager at Cache Valley Bank. My calm and caring personality combined with my quick problem-solving skills help me provide my customers with the personalized attention and exceptional service they deserve. And I look forward to providing you with that same experience. Come visit the Preston branch and ask for Ashley, or give me a call to see what opening an account with Cache Valley Bank can do for you. I look forward to meeting you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Do you like to gamble on your appliance? You don't have to. This is Jay at Daryl's Appliance. Only at Daryl's can you apply up to 100% of the diagnostic charge towards the purchase of a new or scratch and dent appliance. Plus, get Daryl's exclusive 2-year warranty on your scratch and dent purchase and Daryl's legendary service. Remember, we always service what we sell. Experience the Daryl's difference. See store for details. Daryl's Appliance, west on Airport Road.
See Daryl's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Medicare can seem complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Let us help. We'll answer all your questions and get you specific information that fits your needs. Medicare is not one size fits all. We'll help you find the right coverage for you. Call 752-9493. You can ignore the TV and the junk mail. We'll get you the exact information you need. We will help you access the benefits that are important to you. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493.
Hello, Cache Valley. This is Tom Hale at Blue Sky Restoration, formerly ARS. Remember, got a mess? Call ARS. We want to let you know that here at Blue Sky, we still have the same great staff, we provide the same excellent service, and are ready to help you in your time of need with water mitigation, mold remediation, or a fire. From Blue Sky Restoration, thank you for trusting our staff and myself for over 35 years with your disaster needs, and we will continue to be here for you.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Utah Jazz in action tonight, taking on the Washington Wizards. And, the Wizards have lost 14 in a row, actually. 14 in a row. I thought it was 10. They've lost 14 in a row.
That's a little awkward.
Jazz have lost 3 in a row.
Jazz have not been 14 in a row. And, I'm thinking either direction for a while.
It's been a minute. Kyle Kuzma.
I don't know. I have to sigh because I just saw a comparison between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the 73-win Warriors, so...
Yeah, so I saw someone was trying to make that comparison.
Yeah, and I'm not on board with that.
They
did look good when I was watching them against this. They rallied from a early first quarter deficit and then started outpacing the Suns, who are a decent team. But
they're an exciting team.
Yeah.
But let's see if they can win 73 games before we start saying they're the next 73-win team.
Let's see if they can win 16 games in the summer.
Yes, that's right.
That's the most important thing because they're obviously doing fine in the regular season.
Jazz went on this East Coast road trip, lost all 3 games, blown out at Atlanta, but competitive in their games at Orlando and at Miami. But in the last couple of minutes in both their games in Florida, the game kind of got away from them as it got tighter, and each possession means more. These other teams, which have more talent, just separated from the Utah Jazz. I think they were showing promise and showing some positive signs, especially with some of their younger players, but it also illustrates there's a youth movement here, and these young players have to learn how to play through these tough times.
Yeah, well, young players don't know how to play an entire – well, I shouldn't say they don't know how to play. They just aren't able to play an entire game typically. There are inconsistencies and things like that. They're going to play an inconsistent 48 minutes, and so when you have a lot of young players – you're going to have a hard time playing a complete 48 minutes, which is going to make it really hard for you to win consistently, unless you just have oodles of talent, and the Jazz don't have that, so they're going to be losing a lot of these games. They'll eventually win some of these close games, but that's when they get the rare occasion where all of their young players are all playing well at the same time, combined with the vets having good games. Like, that will happen, but it's hard when you're a young team and inexperienced and don't have Victor Wembanyama talent. Of course, Victor Wembanyama's talent isn't exactly helping the Spurs.
Yeah, they're not exactly winning a bunch of games with him either. But Keontae George was fantastic in their game against Miami. 31 points, 6 of 14 from 3, and just under control. I don't know if I'd say totally under control because he did have 5 turnovers, but certainly showing a lot of promise for the Utah Jazz. But Lauri Markkanen ended up with 25, but he hurt his knee. And so there's some question if he's going to be available. Jordan Clarkson was not available in Miami. He's been under the weather. So what's the latest on the injury report for the Utah Jazz tonight?
So Keontae George actually is on the injury report. He's listed as available. He has an illness. I don't know, maybe he caught something from Jordan Clarkson. Walker Kessler is out with the right foot.
Still has that foot strain.
Yeah, with the foot sprain. Lauri Markkanen is actually a right quad contusion is what he's listed. He's listed as out, so he'll be out. And then everyone else that's out is either in the G League or is Otto Porter.
It's still the ongoing mystery of Otto
It's not
Porter.
a mystery. He's just not with the team, and he's not going to be with the team. They've mutually parted ways. I don't know, mutually separated, I guess.
I don't know why they don't cut him.
Because they have to pay him.
You can still buy him out.
Well, then
and he can sign with somebody else.
Yeah, but the only way they buy him out is if they pay less money than what's remaining on his contract. And Otto Porter doesn't necessarily want that because then he makes less money. And Otto Porter's not exactly a hot free agent.
Yeah, that's true. This is the best meal ticket he has right now.
Yeah, basically. So that's what works best for him, and the Jazz aren't really going to push it. They're not paying him that much to be worried about him not being around. They'll just, all right, write to the check, just go. We're not going to play anyway. Just go hang out at home.
Right. Go put up shots in an empty gym somewhere.
Yeah. Prep for free agency, man.
But yeah, Utah tonight, 7 o'clock against the Wizards. So we'll have that here on the Fan starting at about 6:50. But so with a questionable Keontae George, Lauri Markkanen out, who needs to have a big game tonight for the Jazz?
Taylor Horton-Tucker probably.
He's probably get a lot of minutes.
I wouldn't be happy about that fact. But Colin Sexton, you maybe hope that Taylor Hendricks shows a bit more shooting potential. We've seen him rebound well, but not shoot very well, and he's shown flashes on defense. This would be a good time for Taylor Hendricks to have a career shooting night.
Well, with no Markkanen in there, nor Walker Kessler either, it's going to provide some opportunity for Hendricks and Collins to play alongside each other.
Collins especially too. So you'll need some big games from guys who haven't played as big of minutes and haven't had as big an offensive role. So you probably also need Keontae George to go out there and play, even though he's a little under the weather.
Right. Bryce Sensabaugh should have some opportunity.
Yeah, that'd be a great time for Bryce Sensabaugh to pull out his first 20-point game of his career. That'd be a perfect night to go off.
That'd be great. All right, got to take another time out here in the Full Court Press. When we come back, We'll reveal Pick 6. How did we do? I'm trying to predict the weekend. That's next on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Girls, insist he take you to Jarek's. Picking out your wedding ring is an experience you will never forget. Come to a place where the mood is right and the setting is perfect for romance. Jarek's Fine Jewelry in Logan. The perfect collection of memorable designs, classic creation, and modern marvels. If you want an intimate, romantic experience you will never forget, then insist he takes you to Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's at 930 North Main in Logan.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's.
Happy winter! This is Mark at the Sportsman on Main Street, where we make winter fun. We are your ski, snowboard, snowshoe, and cross-country ski rental shop. Come in and rent for the day or longer and have a great time outside. We also have great deals on new skis, boots, bindings, underwear, and outerwear, so you are comfortable playing in the snow. See the Sportsman for the best deals, the best service, and most unique products you will find for the outdoors. Only at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan.
Experience Barrel and Stave on Federal Avenue, where good food, good drinks, and good people meet, using local ingredients to create the most delicious taste possible. Barrel and Stave is a cozy cocktail bar offering a large selection of wines, whiskeys, and cocktails, along with an amazing selection of bar bites and weekly chef specials guaranteed to tantalize your taste buds. With live music every Wednesday night and Thirsty Thursdays that offer $2 off drafts, come and see what you've been missing. Barrel and Stave, Tuesday through Saturday evenings on Federal Avenue.
The Aggies, Jazz, high schools, even the Pee Wees T-ball team. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, The Fan.
So last week, we tried to guess what would happen for the weekend. I picked 3 lines. Jason picked 3 lines. And I'm not feeling very good about some of my decisions on our pick 6 last week.
Well, let's go over them and see how you did. So remember, I'm on a 3-week win streak. So start with these are my lines. Utah State rebounding margin versus Air Force over under 5.5. You took the over. I took the under. Utah State won the rebounding margin by 11. So you start out 1-0.
Okay,
that's a good start. Then we have another one. Boise State by 2.5 against New Mexico. I took Boise State. You also took Boise State. And, well, they covered that pretty comfortably. So you're up 2-1. LeBron's 40,000th point, which he accomplished. Set the line on how it would happen. There was 2 options, either a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer / free throw. LeBron scored his 40,000th point on a layup. I took the 2-pointer option. You took the 3-pointer free throw option. So we're tied 2-2 going into your lines. Games separating teams 1 through 6 in the Mountain West standings.
This was a dumb line.
You set the line at 1.5. I took the over. You took the under. There's 3 games separating Utah State, Boise State, who are at 12-4, and New Mexico at 9-7. Taylor Hendricks, his plus-minus at Miami. You set the line over under 5.5. You took the over, saying he would do better than that. I took the under. Taylor Hendricks had a -16.
Yeah, ouch.
And then I was Caitlin Clark, 25.5 points. She broke the NCAA basketball scoring record this weekend, which you have over 25.5 or under. I took the over. You took the under. She had 35.
Ooh.
So I won this week. I got 5 right. You got 2.
Ouch.
So I also would have won the tiebreaker because the tiebreaker line was Jazz 7.5 point underdogs to Miami. They only lost by 6.
Ooh.
So there you go. I win.
Another loss.
4 weeks in a row, baby. Starting up a streak. Let's go. Heading into it's the March Madness begins, and I'm playing my best ball.
That's right. You've got momentum on your side.
There we go. Got to win. I'm gonna carry that into our. I'm sure we'll have a March Madness, 106.9 The Fan March Madness thing. Do we usually do that? I can't remember.
A March Madness thing?
Like
a bracket?
Yeah, the bracket selection thing.
We could. Yeah, sure we could. It's not as easy as it used to be. Part of the challenge is that you have the Tuesday games now, the first 4 or whatever. Yeah. And so the bracket's not revealed until like Sunday and then games are on Tuesday, so you really don't have a lot of time
to that's why they like combine them, like when you, especially the online ones, where like they just whichever of this team gets in.
Yeah.
And that's Because I think Farley Dickinson was that way. Didn't they have to do a play-in?
Yeah, it's true. Yep.
So on the bracket would have been Farley Dickinson and whoever else they played, whoever they beat to get in. But the other thing, though, is that I'm horrible with brackets, like picking these NCAA tournament brackets. Like I have a family, we do one every year, and I always finish like third or fourth, and I'm like the one sports guy.
My 12-year-old eats, sleeps, drinks. He does it. I mean, he does it for the whole neighborhood, and we have a table and brackets spread out all over the place, and he's always updating them. So we got a lot of brackets going on in my house.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for us here on the Full Court Press. Don't forget Utah Jazz basketball taking on the Washington Wizards in less than an hour. Pre-game coverage with Utah Jazz Radio Network. David Locke et al. Starting at about 6:50 as they take on the Wizards tonight. And full play-by-play here on 106.9 FM, also 1390 AM. And if you missed any part of the show today, the last hour or this hour as well, you can always go to our website and get the podcast.